Hi everybody, this is Angelo with Angelo's Workbench. Welcome back to video 2 in the Revell Kevin Harvick Ford Fusion build. We are going to get to a lot today. We're going to start with these wheels. I'm using a paint marker, a tester's paint marker, to get that red lip around the wheel. I find it's easier for me if I just have to paint the edge of something, to get the paint marker out and just kind of ride it along the edge, as you see me doing there. That does a pretty nice job. Once we finish up these wheels, we're going to build the engine. We're going to build the chassis. We're going to almost finish the kit. I anticipate video number 3 will be the completion video for this kit. So with that said, let's jump in and get to it. Right here I'm using a blue Sharpie. Blue Sharpie over silver paint, as I've said in videos before, looks a lot like blue anodized aluminum. So I'm using a blue Sharpie to do a little detail work on the engine, and then we're going to put it together. Here I'm going to use a little Tamiya panel line accent color in black to go over some of the bits of the engine to give it a little more realistic look. Remember, when you're using the Tamiya panel line accent color, there we go, I can talk. Remember when you're using that stuff that is an enamel, and if you use it on enamel paint, you will run into a little bit of difficulty. Make sure you stick to acrylics and lacquers with that, and you'll be fine, and it does give a great result. Here you will also see me use some of Tamiya's Weathering Master powders to give a little bit of a worn look to the pulleys on the belts. And with that engine looking great, we can move on to the chassis. What I'm going to do here first is the shocks. So I want the springs themselves to be the gray color that I painted it, and I want the spaces in between to be black. So what I've done is I've painted them with an acrylic black, and now am removing from the high points the paint, leaving the paint in the low points, just using a Q-tip with some water on it to take the acrylic paint off. And what you're left with is the paint in the low parts, and the high parts are the color that the part originally was, because that's not an acrylic paint. And so I've got a gray shock with black spaces in between the springs, and it was easy. As I go through the chassis assembly, I am periodically doing a little bit of detail work. As you see here, I'm taking a little Tamiya XF16 flat aluminum, and I'm just detailing the bottoms of the shocks and the various nuts and bolts in the front end and the lower A-arms. I am using a toothpick to apply that paint. I find that the toothpick is very handy when you have to get a very small amount of paint on a very small part. Here I'm just going to add a little detail with a little copper paint. I don't know if that part was actually copper or not. I was just adding another color for visual interest. as we go through the assembly of the chassis and the roll cage, I want to add that this kit's assembly was very simple. There are a lot of pieces to the roll cage, but they go together well, they're engineered well, and very easy to assemble. I like using the Tamiya fine glue, the extra fine cement, because you can put the parts together and then just run the brush over it, and the capillary action sucks the glue in, and then the parts are glued together. It's very simple, as you can see here. And that little bit of roll cage work is going to finish up video number 2. I hope you'll come on back and join me for video number 3, where I will finish this kit and move on to my next project, which is a very exciting project I'm very excited to announce. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, which is showing up in the upper left-hand corner, or I've got a link to the playlist also on the right. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Angelo's Workbench.